It's Game Music Monday! You wouldn't know that though, because it's the first episode. I'm the host, Gino Boost, and here are 5 albums all inspired by video games. 2 Mello has laid out another great mashup album. This time he takes Yuzo Koshiro's Streets of Rage soundtrack and combines it with a full roster of hip-hop acapellas, combining into one very street album. So street. Like a raging street. As with most Mello mashup albums, there is always that theme or through line. Basically, 2 Mello's mashup albums sound like fully realized concept albums, and not just a collection of mashups he threw together and tossed onto Bandcamp. It's just one part of why 2 Mello is the man when it comes to mashups. Anyway, Streets of Resistance has a vibe, as if the story is being told by all the criminals living in... Well, okay, I looked it up, and Streets of Rage, the city that it takes place in, doesn't really have a name. I guess it's kind of based on New York, or maybe Miami. A lot of people have the consensus, but that's not important. To be certain, crime is a complex thing. It's not something you can get rid of just by walking out into the street and beating up some punks. Even if you are beating them up to a very kick-ass soundtrack. Well, Mello, I guess, thought the same thing, and he takes that idea to its logical conclusion within the mashups on this album by combining some street lyrics and some thug anthems and combining it with the music of Streets of Rage. Mello has a hell of a knack at subverting or amplifying other people's words in these mashups to tell the story he wants to tell in the album. So it's a good thing he's like a dope producer and not like a lobbyist or something. Quick aside, I'm trying to include VGMDB links to albums and artists where appropriate, and it's like 95% of the time it's appropriate because all they talk about is, stuff that gets posted onto VGMDB as well. Anyway, Mello does have a VGMDB page, but it is like pretty sparse. I mean, someone needs to get in there and add this new album and several of his other albums to the database. Not me though, I'm busy. There are plenty of great tracks on this album, but you should go download it on Bandcamp yourself. I'm pretty sure any track I play will probably get this video muted or taken down, but let's try it anyway. This track I'm going to play is probably my favorite on the album, and it is Dreamers Never Die featuring Dead Prez.
Sitting in the living room on the floor, hunger pain got me on some migraine shit, but I'ma maintain. Nigga got $2 or $3 to my name, and my homies in the same boat, going through the same thing, ready for a cake, steady plotting for the paper. We've been living in the dark since April, under candle, gotta get a handle. My homie got a 25 automatic, added to the gamble. Nigga get the phone book, look up in the yellow page, let me tell you how we finna get paid. We gon' order pizza when they send the drive-over, we gon' stick the 25 up in his face. Let's ride, stepping outside like warriors into the notorious Southside.
It's a surprise follow-up of 2 Mello's first 2 Midnight Broadcast albums. Unaired Broadcasts is a collection of 2 Mello beats in the same sphere as MBC 1 and 2. Looks like Mello has plans to change it up with these beat tapes when he continues them. So get in on this. It's like a third album and it's all for $1. So I've got to share one of the dope beats on this album, and I'm going to go with Grinning Stranger. It's all head bumping chillness, but the early 90s vibe on this one is a real keeper. I didn't know I was anticipating this so bad. Ever since I discovered the instrumental album by Philadelphia-based The Mimmos, now known as The Mimmos, I guess that extra M is for member, as the original was a wonderful instrumental album, but The Mimmos follow-up EP Rowboat came with that minor name change, and also went on to become one of my favorite albums of 2015. Oh man. So we're more due for the Mimmos than I actually imagined. This album, or EP, is 4 tracks, and it picks up right where 2015's Rowboat EP left off, building from the lo-fi crunch of Rowboat to the assured sounds of this album. It feels like a nice natural progression of the Mimmos sizz sound. As with the previous album, there are many references to water, the sea, and other water-related things, which I really love. Water might be my second favorite reference point in music, the first being outer space. The Mimmos album can be found on the group's Bandcamp page, 4 tracks for $4, or you could get the cassette tape for $5. When I first hit play on this EP, it suddenly washed over me how much I enjoy this band. So that's why I'm sharing the opening track from this album, Scavengers, a song which contains both water and space references. Not bad.
Passed out on the sand in a bridesmaid's dress with the wedding guests, like scavengers on the dune, scattered by the light of the moon. No treasure to find, so we passed the time, worried it would end too soon. Like cold and restless stars, we shiver till we spark. Then a silent falling arc comes burning down the sky.
Álex Garcigregor has recently dropped a duo of game-inspired albums, so we'll lead off with Prognosis. If you have a short description of your album, that's awesome. You probably know your album better than I do. So with that, I quote, Prognosis is a collection of original pieces composed as if they were part of the soundtrack of non-existent video games of different genres. It features a mix of rock and electronica ranging from full band synth metal to club music or chiptune. End quote. The track, Disorderly Conduct, builds quick with an intense RPG boss fight style that only becomes more daunting as the song continues. And now we get to the second of the two albums from Álex Garcigregor from the album page for Anamnesis. Anamnesis is a collection of original pieces composed as if they were part of the soundtrack of a non-existent RPG video game. It features piano, orchestra instruments, and acoustic guitar, and ranges from quiet and dynamic music to epic action themes. The title Anamnesis comes from Plato's concept that all human learning is merely just rediscovering or remembering inner knowledge already present in ourselves from past incarnations. See, I'm glad I can quote that. That's good, because I didn't think that was a real word at first. It's like I'm making things up. But no, it's just facts I don't know. Unbelievable. The track Pioneer's Expedition definitely captures the adventurous opening to a life-changing journey. I mean, who knows what lies ahead? But right now, this adventure is pretty fun. Hey, is that a town ahead? Okay, we're done here. If you've got a game music album to plug, check the contact info in the description. I've got a Twitter and a Patreon and all that stuff. Check the description for that too. More music next Monday.